Today, my friends, we're going to be taking a look at some Town 11 attacks versus double single target Inferno bases. We've got 4 different strategies for you, and we're going to teach you guys exactly how to use each of these strategies against single Inferno bases. So that's right, guys, we're going to be looking at some single target Inferno attack strategies, which basically is going to be, we're going to be showing 4 of them. We're going to show 2 Pekka attacks, Pekka, Bobat, and Pekka Smash. We're also going to show QueenWalk into Miners and Queen Charge Mass Hog. For all 4 of these attacks work very well. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want to see some other attacks other than these 4 that do very well, or if you need another example of, let's say, Pekka Smash or Pekka Bobat, I would be more than happy to add that onto the next video. So we're going to first start out with Pekka Smash. This has definitely been heavily requested on the channel. You know, does this work against single Infernos? What if there's single Infernos and stuff like that? Well, this is where, you know, I've said in the comments, I've said in replies, you know, you have the Grand Warden. Notice the Grand Warden level here, non-max heroes, only a level 11. So this basically shows that you do not need a max Warden to get through a single Inferno at all. So if you are, as long as you have your level 5 Grand Warden, your level 1 or level 2 ability, you should still be able to do this. So this can still work with those lower level heroes. So the idea is that, of course, like with any Pekka Smash, you are creating this side of the funnel and a funnel right here. This way, what you can do is you can get the most from your Stone Slammer, or I'm sorry, from your Wall Wrecker. But the main thing here is that you are looking for a couple key things. More specifically, you are trying to get the Eagle. In this case, because there's no multi-Infernos, you just want to go for that, and then any other splash damage. Whether this be stuff like Wizard Towers. Realistically, the only 2 things that you need to get are Wizard Towers and the Eagle. I mean, those are the only 2 things that are really going to do a lot of damage to your bats, so might as well get them. So on this base here, we want to make sure that we're looking at where the Town Hall is in this case. So we're going to create a funnel on this side here, and that's what you really want to try and do. Try to actively create the funnel where your entry point is. That way you know exactly where everything's going to go. Now here is the trick with the Warden. Make sure that you pop your Warden right as your Wall Wrecker gets into that first layer. That's going to give them enough time to get into the second layer, which is going to be that around that single Inferno compartment. So that's really what I want you guys to take away from this. Single Infernos are actually not that bad to deal with. If you're now in a strategy like this, if you're scared that, you know, you don't want to use your ability so early, then use a freeze. You may want to bring an extra freeze spell there in that case. So you may only bring, you know, let's say 6 bat spells instead of 7. So you don't need too many bats, of course. This is going to really depend on your army or your spell composition. But other than that, you guys can see from the army composition, not too many Pekkas or even bowlers, because we're bringing an Ice Golem. We're also bringing a couple other units. So when you guys were asking me about that as well, I don't know the terms of, like, you know, what they typically bring, but as far as I can say, it's determines on the other things that you're bringing. So are you bringing Ice Golem and E-Drag? You know, what are you bringing for funneling and cleanup? That's what you need to decide. So that's going to be basically what's going to come down to army composition. So let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and show you guys what's going to happen. So we're sending in the balloon. I believe here we're trying to get the Town Hall down, if I am correct. So this is just good sort of, you know, mentally making sure that you can probably get that 1 star is definitely very good. If it's a anti-2, then of course, then this is actually going to be really easy. Just remember though, you want to keep the tips in terms of the single Infernos going against them. So you'll see right here is that we are creating the funnel on either side. One side using the E-Drag and on the other side using the King. So now you'll see that we're going to send in the Wall Wrecker with the Ice Golem. So the attacker, I believe, was hoping that the Ice Golem would take that single Inferno. But let's actually zoom in just so you guys can see. So the Ice Golem, or I'm sorry, the Wall Wrecker, it is being targeted right now. But you'll see right here, we're going to pop the ability right there. That way, it's able to get into that second layer of walls. Now, another thing that you're asking, guys, is how do we deal with E-drags? So I wanted to do this as a separate video, but I see that you guys can see some E-drags right here. Notice, poisoning up, the queen will take care of it. Look at that, the ice golem actually, they use a freeze spell on it, and watch what the queen will instantly take that out, no shots, or at least maybe one shot. So you just have to poison it and rage up your army, and if a raged up queen is there, even if it's not maxed, a poison can really slow down the enemy E-drag. So try to learn from there, but you guys can still see, look at all that value, and notice that realistically, he got down a large portion of that base. Maybe not as many wizard towers, but I think the main idea there is to really understand. You can even see Yetis are being used. So if you have access to Yetis, which hopefully you guys do, you guys can see that it is very powerful. So other than that, you guys can really see exactly the power of it. And like with any Pekka Bobat, which this isn't so much of a guide on Pekka Bobat, you know, it's a bat wave. Typically, you want to freeze over those wizard towers and stuff like that. But I think what makes this a very simple replay for you guys to understand is on how exactly the attacker was able to do this. So, Grand Warden right over the wall wrecker as early as possible, getting into that first layer. Once it was in, pops it, gets into the second layer, allows the queen to take out the CC, which is the E-drag, and then also is able to take out the single Inferno, and that's about it. You'll also see from here is that we really don't have too much left. We just have a few Pekkas and Yetis. So what's very interesting is I've never seen Yetis in this type of strategy, but I'm realizing now this can actually be a viable thing. If you have access to Yetis, bring them in the wall wrecker. They're actually not that bad. I even saw one of the viewers on Discord actually got a 3-star by using wall wreckers and a sort of Yeti bomb-esque version. It was really interesting. So Yetis in the wall wrecker are going to be quite interesting to see. But I know that this one went on for a little bit long, 7 minutes. I understand, but I want you guys to sort of understand how you guys can use this strategy. So hopefully that this is very helpful for you guys. So let's move on to the next one, which we're going to be looking at QueenWalk miners. So we've got our next one here, and this is going to be QueenWalk miners. So how do we attack with this strategy? Well, we're using a QueenWalk. We're not using a charge. You can definitely tell, though, that the single Infernos are in that sort of area that can definitely, if we walk here or here, you know, that queen's most likely going to get targeted if she steps up. Other than that, you know, we just got to make sure that we are getting a funnel made for the miners, and then also on the other side using the siege barrack. If you don't have access to the siege barrack, then I would heavily recommend you guys try either the Stone Slammer or the Battle Blimp. And you could use a Battle Blimp here, let's say, you know, on the Eagle. That can actually net you some good value there. Even though it may not really seem like it, you're still luring out the CC, which this was a Lava Hound, so it's a little bit different. But you guys can still see how you guys can deal with these ones. QueenWalk miners is really not that bad. As long as you're not charging into them, then you're completely fine. So the idea, though, is that you're creating the funnel on one side of the base. Typically, this is going to be done using the QueenWalk, and then you're going to be using like a Pekka or the King. You'll see that the King is going to be used here, along probably with the Pekka, because usually they synergize pretty well together. But raging up the Queen just in order to keep her alive. There's really no special thing there in terms of keeping her alive there. But we'll see from here is that as we're walking our Queen, we're getting her closer to that single Inferno area. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is just working our way and getting a funnel made. We don't have to get any extra value other than dealing with the CC. Of course, if it's like something like a baby dragon, then that could definitely be something to worry about. But I think something like this, if you don't have access to siege machines, this is actually a great strategy, because you do not need to use a siege machine just in order to get that. If you have Hogs in there, bring Hogs, put that right behind the miners. use a Pekka to create the other side of the funnel. It's actually just as good as bringing a siege barrack. But you'll see that we now send in our miners. So the miners here, they're going to work their way in, and right before that queen can ever even get to the single Inferno. So the reason that this strategy works very well on single Infernos is, the reason is because the lack of splash buildings. So because that, all there is just wizard towers and maybe a Tesla farm here and there. That's it. That's all there is. So it just allows you to use miners a lot more effectively. Even if they're maxed like you see right here, it's going to be easy to go through these. Now you may have already noticed the bomb towers were not maxed. That is going to be this person's playstyle. But you can see, super simple. It's really not that hard. I was kind of surprised to see a Lava Hound outside of League War. But you guys can still see, miners easily wreck these type of bases. And you really don't need to use, you don't need to do a queen charge. Because all you need to do, look at the CC. If you can lure it out, awesome. If that CC was lurable there, which I can't take a look at the range now, but I'm pretty sure it was, and it was able to, you were able to easily deal with that by just using a QueenWalk, dealing with that, sending in your miners, and you're all set. So definitely this even works without a siege. So definitely very, very good replay on this. And then hopefully that gives you guys an example, a good example of using it. But now let's go ahead and move on into another example, which we're going to take a look at, Pekka Smash. So we've got our third example of a strategy that works really well against single Infernos, and that is going to be Pekka Smash. So you may be wondering, well, Pekka Smash. We don't have a quad quake, we have a double jump. Now, I think I'm going to say this, you really don't need a siege machine if you're using a siege barracks. So as far as I see with siege barracks is that they kind of, they extend your army composition, which is nice, but at the same time, it's like not even using a siege machine. So consider that if you don't have one, you maybe want to bring in extra Pekka. So you may want to scrap a lot of what you see here, other than the healers, of course. But if you can't, try to use maybe 1 or 2 Pekkas just to create that funnel. So we're going to see it's not the perfect deployment. So don't get me wrong, it's not going to be perfect, but you're going to see a very good example. People have asked me, what about Pekka Smash? Does it work against single Infernos? Well, as far as I can answer you, it does. It does work against singles. I was kind of a little surprised, but at the same time, I was not really, because it is sort of a strategy that doesn't really need to worry about that too much. It's just getting as much value as possible, especially from the bowlers. But what we're going to see is we're starting off with a walk. So this is a little bit interesting. We're sending in our Pekkas there, but we didn't create enough of a funnel here, and that's where they're going to start moving. We drop our jump here, but not too much goes in except for a couple Pekkas. So not the best sort of start, because a lot of things start to move around. So a good chunk of our Pekkas and stuff are on the outside of the base. So you can see a good chunk of our army's on the outside. However, we can still get a lot from just a king, warden, queen, and maybe like a Pekka and a couple bowlers. It's actually pretty incredible, because we're going to be able to kill off the enemy CC. Not too bad. We were already able to deal with that single Inferno, which, if you noticed, we just popped the ability. It was really close to the outside, wasn't going to be too hard. So you'll see that as we're going through here, we're just taking a look, and notice how, none of our Pekkas are being targeted yet. And this is just the idea, is you want to get value from your double jump. So as far as I would tell from here, is if you guys are interested in using Pekka Smash, if you're going to use a double jump, try to look for value in terms of multiple compartments. Like this eagle compartment right here, easy jump. And then after that, you could easily jump into the rest of those areas, and you could actually get basically the whole base. So, I mean, it's really good in terms of base identification. It's just really identifying how big and small the compartments are. That way you can actually get a lot of good value from it. So that kind of gives you guys a really good idea. And then if you don't have access to siege machines or even the siege barrack, if you don't have access to the siege barrack but you have access to sieges, Stone Slimer is going to be your next best thing. Bring some loons in there. They are going to help you. So you'll see right here, It's not the best and most perfect attack of Pekka Smash, but you can still see it does work. It does work. You still got a lot of Pekkas on the outside, a lot of bowlers. You still have the Grand Warden up. So definitely this is still a very solid example. Not perfect, but still a very solid example to give you guys probably the most out of it. Let me know though if you guys want to see an extra video or another video with this strategy again in it, and I'm going to try to do that. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on into our final one, which is going to be Queen Charge into Mass Hog. So we're going to be taking a look at this final one, which is going to be Queen Charge Mass Hog. So this strategy is still a very simple strategy. You really don't need to worry about the single Infernos too much unless you're charging into one, of course. That would be where you would probably need to bring a free spell. So that's going to really depend on the base. So that's just really going to be up to how it is. But other than that, remember that you're looking for the enemy CC and enemy Queen. Anything else is good for in terms of value. Other than that, you should be able to get a lot of really good defenses from it. You can see that he's using a Stone Slimer as well, so we're going to kind of break that down too. But just remember that the idea is you're creating two funnels. So you're creating one side for the Queen, whether that be using a Pekka or using something like a Baby Dragon, which is usually preferred. But you'll see that the Pekka is actually being used and the healers don't actually move over to the Queen or to the Pekka. But the idea here is that the reason that they don't move over to the Pekka is because the Queen was already taking damage, and she's constantly taking damage. So that's why, in that case, that's why they're not moving over to anything else. They're staying on the Queen because she's consistently taking damage. So you'll see that two funnels have been set. So we set one side with the King and the other with the Pekka. So as the Queen's moving in, we drop in the Rage, and that's gonna, well, we had to use the ability here, but we did pull the Tornado Trap, so that's good value. And on top of that, we killed off the enemy Queen, and now we're dealing with another E-Drag CC. So this is just how you guys can deal with it in terms of a Queen Charge. Not too difficult. As long as you have your healers healed up or raged up, you should be able to poison up the enemy E-Drag and should be able to easily get rid of it. It's really not that bad. It's really not that difficult, and it can really net you a lot of value if you sort of do it properly. It's not that bad though. Of course, you may already notice that a lot of these bases are not maxed out. And just trust me when I say that these will work against max bases as long as you are really, getting through the attack and making sure you're getting enough value. You'll see right here is that we're using our Stone Slimer. So the Stone Slimer here, the reason that he's not dropping in his Hogs just yet with his Grand Warden, only at level 16, mind you, but he wants to get some value from that Stone Slimer because there was some easy pathing there, but he wants to make sure that he's sending everything in. Now you may wonder, why did he let his Queen die? Well, his Queen already got the value for him. He doesn't need to worry about her anymore. He just needs to worry about the Hogs. So remember, with any sort of Hog Rider strategy, you've got the Grand Warden. So typically you're going to use it early, so then you don't burn any of your heal spells too early. And then heals are going to be used in terms of the groups. Rage can also be used if you have one left over. That's actually a very good way because it can really boost them going through defenses. But then healing over, let's say, a spot like here, because, there's going to be traps. There's going to be skeleton traps more specifically, giant bombs and wizard towers and bomb towers right around that area. So it's definitely always good to keep that in mind because it's definitely going to be very important for you to sort of be able to take that out. So now with that being said, that sort of shows you guys how to use Hog Riders here at Town Hall 11, really without having to worry about a multi-Inferno being there, because that's a little bit more deadlier for Hogs. But again, single Inferno bases, not a problem. Just keep in mind though, one tip is going to be dealing with these type of bases is don't try to charge into them. Don't try to charge your Queen into the single Inferno. Instead, you want to be able to sort of walk your Queen around that, or just not even facing it entirely. I mean, those Infernos were here and here, so you don't really need to worry about them there. So with that out of the way, that kind of gives you guys your solid idea into using Hog Riders with it. But with that being said, guys, that's going to show you guys, or that's going to give you guys your entire video on how to deal with single infernos. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want to see some videos or some more videos on stuff like this, and let me know in the comments below what strategies you may want to see in that one other than these 4. But also feel free to also go ahead and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, you learned something from it. It's always a pleasure for you guys to learn something from these type of videos. Also, feel free to also go ahead and subscribe by hitting that notification bell and, well, of course, the subscribe button to join the Corrupt fam and never miss an upload. Also, feel free to go ahead and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or even follow me on Twitch and join my community Discord. All 4 links are in the description below, along with all the clans that I cover within the description. So all of them have their Discord servers there. So feel free to go ahead and join a clan that you think you have what it takes. And with that being said, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be seeing you guys next time. Corrupt, signing out.